Somewhere near you, there's a clematis vine eating an entire fence alive with color. And the person who planted it is doing almost everything wrong. No deadheading, no feeding schedule. Half the time, they forget it exists for weeks at a stretch. It comes back bigger every year anyway. Now picture the opposite. Someone buys a gorgeous clematis, plants it carefully, babies it all season, and by autumn, it's a pile of brown stems. No drama, no obvious cause. It just quietly checks out. Here's what most garden centers won't tell you. Clematis isn't delicate. It's misread. Nearly every clematis death traces back to one of 5 avoidable mistakes. Fix those 5 things, and this plant stops being fragile. It becomes one of the toughest things in your yard. A vine that shrugs off drought, ignores hard frosts, and survives the occasional run-in with a lawnmower. Stick with me through secret number 4. It's the one that quietly kills more clematis in their first 2 years than everything else on this list combined, and almost nobody explains it properly. Let's get into it. Secret 1. Plant it deeper than instinct tells you to. Every plant tag you've ever read says the same thing. Match the soil line from the pot, don't bury the crown. Clematis breaks that rule on purpose. When you plant clematis, set it 2 to 3 inches deeper than it sat in its nursery pot, deep enough that the first leaf nodes on the stem end up underground. It will feel wrong. Do it anyway. Here's the mechanism behind it. Those buried nodes are dormant growth points. If the top of the plant is ever damaged, frost, pests, a snapped stem, the plant doesn't die, it simply pushes new shoots up from below the soil line. You've built yourself a backup plant, buried and waiting. This single habit is also your strongest defense against clematis wilt, which we'll get to shortly. A deep-planted clematis can be cut to the ground and come back. A shallow one usually can't. If you're planting in spring, backfill in stages rather than all at once. Settle soil around the roots first, water, then add the final layer over the buried nodes. It prevents air pockets that can dry out those dormant buds before they ever get a chance to sprout. Secret 2. Cool roots, sunny crown. You've likely heard the phrase, clematis wants its head in the sun and feet in the shade. True, but repeated so often it's lost all meaning. Here's what it actually requires of you. The top growth, vines, foliage, flowers, needs a minimum of 6 hours of direct sun. That's non-negotiable. It's where the bloom energy comes from. The root zone wants the opposite. Hot, dry soil at the base stresses the roots, and a stressed clematis sacrifices leaves and flowers just to stay alive. That's why a clematis in full, exposed sun can still look thin and underwhelming even with plenty of light. The fix? Shade the root zone without shading the vine. Skip the decorative stones. They trap heat. Instead, plant something low and leafy in front of the base. Hardy geraniums, a compact shrub, a spreading annual, even a thick layer of mulch renewed each season. Living cover holds moisture and keeps soil temperature stable. Secret 3. Know your pruning group, or don't prune at all. This is where more clematis lose their entire bloom season than from any other mistake on this list. Not because pruning kills the plant, but because it kills that year's flowers. Clematis fall into 3 pruning groups, and each one plays by different rules. Group 1 blooms early, on last year's growth. Barely touch these. A hard prune in late winter removes the very wood that was about to flower. Only tidy lightly, right after blooming ends. Group 2 are the large, early summer bloomers, showy, and the most demanding of the 3. They flower on old wood, then again on new wood. Give these a light spring trim, removing only dead or weak stems, and you'll get 2 flushes of bloom. Group 3 blooms latest, on new growth only, and they're the most forgiving to prune. Every late winter, cut the entire plant down to about a foot from the ground. It sounds brutal. It isn't. This group comes back hard and fast. If you don't know which group you have, there's a safe path. Do nothing for 1 full year. Watch when it blooms. Timing tells you almost everything about the group. An unpruned clematis gets a little untidy, but it survives. A clematis pruned at the wrong moment loses its show entirely. When you're unsure, put the shears down. Secret 4. The wilt response that saves almost every plant. This is the one worth waiting for. It's the reason so many clematis disappear in their first 2 years, and understanding it is what separates people who give up on this plant from people who grow the same vine for decades. Here's the scenario. Your clematis is healthy, climbing, maybe about to bloom, and overnight, a stem or the entire plant collapses. Blackened, wilted, unmistakably dead-looking. No warning. That's clematis wilt, a fungal issue that attacks the visible stems. It looks catastrophic. Most gardeners assume the worst, dig up the plant, and write clematis off as impossible to grow. Here's the correction. That plant is very likely still alive underground. Wilt attacks the top growth. It rarely touches the root system. If you planted deep, secret number 1, you already have healthy, dormant buds sitting safely below the soil, completely unaffected by the fungus above. So instead of removing the plant, do this. Cut the entire collapsed stem structure down to ground level. Remove and discard the affected material. Don't compost it, since the fungus can persist. Keep the soil consistently moist, keep the root zone shaded, and wait. In most cases, fresh green shoots appear from the base within a few weeks, clean growth from those protected underground buds. The plant essentially resets. Many clematis experience wilt once or twice while young, then stop entirely once the root system matures and strengthens. The real skill here isn't preventing wilt, it's knowing not to panic when it happens. Improve drainage around the base with coarse grit or sand worked into the top few inches of soil. Wilt spreads faster in consistently waterlogged conditions, so better drainage reduces both the frequency and severity of outbreaks over time. Secret 5. Feed the roots, not the calendar. The final secret determines whether your clematis merely survives or becomes the kind of vine that swallows a fence. Most gardeners either skip feeding entirely or apply whatever generic fertilizer is on hand whenever they happen to remember. Both approaches produce a plant that exists, never thriving, never resilient enough to handle a rough season. Clematis is a heavy feeder, but it wants specific nutrients at specific times, not a constant stream of nitrogen. Too much nitrogen produces dense foliage at the expense of flowers, a plant that looks lush but blooms poorly. What actually drives flowering is potassium and phosphorus, the rhythm that works. In early spring, as growth resumes, work compost or well-rotted manure into the soil around the base, a slow-release foundation. As the plant approaches its bloom period, switch to a potassium-rich feed. A rose or tomato fertilizer works well to fuel flower production. Once it's blooming heavily, ease off feeding and let it do its work. A foliar feed, diluted liquid fertilizer applied directly to leaves, roughly 2 weeks before expected bloom, can give a visible boost in flower count, since the plant absorbs nutrients faster through leaves than roots during that critical bud-forming window. A well-fed clematis builds a strong root reserve, and that reserve is what carries it through missed waterings, wilt outbreaks, hard winters, and ordinary neglect. You're not just feeding for prettier flowers, you're building the plant's survival margin. These 5 secrets aren't separate tricks. They work as one system. Plant deep and the vine always has a backup. Shade the roots and sun the crown, and it stops stressing over every missed watering. Respect the pruning group, or leave the shears alone, and you protect the bloom. Refuse to panic at wilt because the plant is almost always still alive underground. Feed the roots properly, and it builds the strength to outlast everything else on this list. Get these right, and you don't just keep a clematis alive, you get one that thrives on the neglect that kills every other version of this plant. If this changed how you think about clematis, hit subscribe. Plants Viso is built for exactly this kind of plant. The ones everyone calls difficult that are really just misunderstood. New deep dive guides post every week, and the next one might surprise you. One favor before you go, drop a comment and tell me, Have you ever lost a clematis to wilt and pulled it out before you knew it could come back? Or do you have a monster vine that refuses to quit? I read every comment and they shape what I cover next. Now go plant something deep. See you in the next one.